Hi everyone, this is Shiny, Assistant Professor, Emmanuel Arasa, College of Pharmacy. In this presentation, I am going to discuss about the autonomic nervous system. Nervous system is divided into central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. In the peripheral nervous system is divided into somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is a diverse part of peripheral nervous system that regulate visceral processes. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss about the sympathetic and parasympathetic outflow and its function and difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic division and adrenergic and cholinergic receptors. Here's the classification of nervous system. Nervous system is classified into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is divided into afferent division, efferent division. Afferent division is sensory section and efferent division is the motor section. This motor section is divided into somatic system, that is voluntary control, and autonomic nervous system, that is involuntary control. This autonomic nervous system ANS is divided into three parts: sympathetic system, parasympathetic system, and enteric system. Sympathetic system is thoracolumbar outflow, parasympathetic system is craniosacral outflow. This thoracolumbar outflow come from thoracic and lumbar region, that is T1 to L2 or 3 of the spinal cord. And this craniosacral outflow is come from brainstem, cranial nerves 3, 7, 9 and 10 or sacral spinal cord S2, S3 and S4. Next one is spinal nerves. The human spinal cord is made up of 33 bones, 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 4 coccygeal region. There are 31 pairs of spinal nerves, that 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 1 coccygeal nerves. Peripheral nervous system. Most of the nerves of the peripheral nervous system are composed of sensory nerve fibers conveying afferent impulses from sensory end organ to the brain, and motor nerve fiber conveying efferent impulses from the brain through the spinal cord to the effector organ. Sensory nerve fiber conveying afferent impulses from the sensory end organ to the brain. Motor nerve fiber conveying efferent impulses from the brain through the spinal cord to the effector organ. The peripheral nervous system is a crucial part of the nervous system responsible for connecting the central nervous system to the rest of the body. It consists of nerves and ganglia that lie outside the brain and spinal cord and plays a vital role in transmitting sensory and motor information between CNS and body. It includes nerve extending between CNS and other parts of the body, which includes muscles, glands, and sense organ. It mainly acts to control the voluntary function of the body. Peripheral nervous system is divided into afferent division, efferent division. Afferent is sensory and efferent is motor. This efferent division is divided into somatic system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic is voluntary and autonomic nervous system is involuntary. Next, somatic nervous system. Somatic nervous system or SNS is the part of peripheral nervous system. The somatic nervous system includes both sensory and motor neuron. Sensory neuron convey input from receptors for somatic senses and from receptors to the special senses like sight, hearing, taste, smell, and equilibrium. Next one is autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is involved in the complex or reflex activities which depend on sensory input to the brain or spinal cord and on motor output. The majority of the organ of the body are supplied by both sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves, which have opposite effect that are finely balanced to ensure the optimum functioning of the organ. Anus is the diverse part of peripheral nervous system that regulate visceral processes. It works subconsciously, constantly controlling important processes necessary for the survival of the human being, such as heart rate, blood pressure, breathing, digestion, urine, sexual arousal, and temperature regulation. This sophisticated neutral neural network ensures that the body's interior environment stay steady in the face of external and internal changes. Autonomic nervous system is a complex set of neurons that mediate internal homeostasis without conscious intervention or voluntary control. The ANS maintain blood pressure, regulate rate of breathing, influences digestion, urination, and modulates sexual arousal. There are two main branches to the ANS, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system, otherwise called as thoracolumbar outflow and adrenergic system. Sympathetic stimulation prepares the body to deal with exciting and stressful situation. Example, strengthening its defenses in danger. Sympathetic stimulation mobilizes the body for fight or flight response. Neurons convey impulses from their origin, the hypothalamus, reticular formation, and medulla oblongata to effector organs and tissues. The first neuron has its cell body in the brain and its fiber extended into the spinal cord. Sympathetic nervous system is an essential network of nerve cells that communicate with many organs such as eyes, heart, lungs, stomach, intestine, joints and skin. It runs from brainstem to the spinal cord. It is an integral part of autonomic nervous system and plays crucial role in maintaining homeostasis by regulating blood flow, arterial pressure and core temperature through thermoregulatory function. It also alters its effector organ to maintain balance in response to change in the internal condition of the organism. Under stress, the SNS opens the body's airway and raises heart rate, triggering the body's fight or flight reaction. Additionally, it controls neurotransmitter activity and hormone release, which affects mood and behavior. The structure of the sympathetic division is pathway from spinal cord to the sympathetic trunk ganglia, organization of sympathetic trunk ganglia, pathways from sympathetic trunk ganglia to the visceral effectors. In the sympathetic nervous system, iris muscle, pupil get dilated, the salivary gland secretion inhibited, the blood vessels in heart, vasoconstriction takes place, and in the heart rate of heart, and force of contraction increased. In the trachea and bronchi, bronchodilation takes place. The liver, glycogen glucose conversion takes place. Stomach peristalsis reduced, sphincters closed. Intestine peristalsis and tone increased. Vasoconstriction. In the kidney, urine secretion increased. In the bladder, smooth muscle wall relaxed, sphincter closed. The sex organs, generally vasoconstriction. So, in the trachea and bronchi, bronchodilation, and in kidney, urine secretion decreased, salivary gland secretion inhibited, blood vessels vasoconstriction, and next, rate of contraction and force of contraction is increased, pupils get dilated. Parasympathetic nervous system, otherwise called as craniosacral outflow. Parasympathetic nervous system has a tendency to slow down body's process except digestion and absorption of food and the function of the genitourinary system. Its general effect is that of a pacemaker, allowing resortation processes to occur quietly and peacefully. Cell bodies of parasympathetic preganglionic neurons are found in the nuclei in the brainstem. Structure of parasympathetic division. The cranial parasympathetic outflow consists of preganglionic axon that extend from brain stem in four cranial nerves. Cranial outflow has four pairs of ganglia and the ganglia associated with the vagus nerve. The sacral parasympathetic outflow consists of preganglionic axon in anterior root of the second through fourth sacral spinal nerves. The parasympathetic nervous system operates opposite to the sympathetic nervous system, while the sympathetic nervous system properly prepares the body for action in stress situation. The PNS dominate during periods of calm, facilitating relaxation and activity related to rest and digest. In the parasympathetic nervous system, iris muscle, pupil constricted, salivary gland secretion is increased, heart rate and force of contraction decreased, bronchoconstriction takes place, the liver, blood vessel dilated, secretion of bile increased, stomach, secretion of gastric juice and peristaltic increased, intestine and absorption increased, kidney, urine secretion increased, the bladder, muscle wall of contractor sphincters closed, sex organ male erection, female variable. Here is the difference between sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system constrict pupil, sympathetic dilate pupil. Parasympathetic nervous system stimulate saliva and tear production. Sympathetic nervous system inhibit saliva production. Sympathetic nervous system constrict bronchi, slows heart. Parasympathetic nervous system constrict bronchi, slows heart. Sympathetic nervous system accelerate heart, dilate bronchi. This parasympathetic nervous system stimulates stomach, pancreas, and intestine. Sympathetic nervous system stimulate glucose release and inhibit stomach, pancreas, and intestine. Sympathetic nervous system stimulates urination. Stimulates urination is inhibit urination is takes place in sympathetic nervous system. Promote erection of genitals in the parasympathetic nervous system and promote regulation and vaginal contraction in the sympathetic nervous system. Autonomic motor pathway. Each division of ANS has two motor neuron and preganglionic postganglionic neuron. Preganglionic neuron, the sympathetic division or preganglionic neuron have cell bodies in the lateral horn of the gray matter in 12 thoracic segment. The first two also sometimes three lumbar segments of spinal cord. In the parasympathetic division, craniosacral division or craniosacral outflow, preganglionic neuron have their cell bodies in the nuclei of four cranial nerves in the brain, such as third, seventh, ninth, and tenth cranial nerve in the lateral gray matter of the second through fourth sacral segment of the spinal cord. Preganglionic neuron contains autonomic ganglia. There are two major groups of autonomic ganglia, sympathetic ganglia and the parasympathetic ganglia. Sympathetic ganglia are sites of synapses between sympathetic preganglia and postsympathetic neuron. Sympathetic trunk ganglia, also called vertebral chain and ganglia, paravertebral ganglia. Prevertebral ganglia, five types of prevertebral ganglia are celiac ganglion, superior mesenteric ganglion, inferior mesenteric ganglion, aortico-renal ganglion, renal ganglion. Next, autonomic motor pathway, postganglionic neuron owns action of sympathetic preganglionic parasympathetic ganglia, preganglionic axons of the parasympathetic division synapse with postganglionic neuron in terminal ganglia. They are the ciliary ganglion, triopalatine ganglion, submandibular ganglion, and otic ganglion. Once axon of sympathetic preganglionic neuron pass to sympathetic trunk ganglia, they may connect to the postganglionic neuron. Single sympathetic preganglionic fiber has many axon collateral and may synapse with two or more postganglionic neuron. Axon and tree ganglionic neuron of the parasympathetic division pass to terminal ganglia near or within the visceral effector. The ganglia, the presynaptic neuron usually snaps with only 4 or 5 postsynaptic neuron, all of which supply a single visceral effector, allowing parasympathetic responses to be localized to the single effector. Next, autonomic receptors. The ANS parasympathetic nervous system contain nicotinic cholinergic receptor, muscarinic cholinergic receptor. Sympathetic nervous system is alpha adrenergic receptor and beta adrenergic. Nicotinic cholinergic receptors are NM and NN. Muscarinic cholinergic receptors are M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. Alpha adrenergic alpha 1, alpha 2. Beta adrenergic beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. Comparison of somatic and autonomic motor neurons. Somatic neurons are voluntary effectors, striated muscle. Autonomic involuntary effectors, smooth and cardiac muscle. Somatic single motor neuron from spinal cord to target organ. Usually two neurons with synapse between from spinal cord to this target organ. Neurotransmitter always stimulatory. Neurotransmitter stimulatory or inhibitory. Acetylcholine releases at snap. In this somatic, the autonomic acetylcholine and norepinephrine release at synapse. No firing at rest in the somatic. Baseline firing in the autonomic nervous system. Effector at rest is flaccid. Effector at rest has intrinsic tone. Thank you.